want to walk you through how to kind of set up your session for MIDI. So two things to do before we even attempt to do any MIDI in Pro Tools is number one, install some MIDI plugins, and I would recommend getting them from the Avid website. Check out the instructions. So download Expand or the Air Instrument Essential bundles. That'll give you a wide array of instruments to work with. But other than that, you need AAX, Avid Audio Extension. That is the Pro Tools plugin format that you need for MIDI stuff. So I've just launched Pro Tools here. Blank slate to set up MIDI here. And I want to start from this basic session to show you all the steps you need to do before you even consider working with MIDI. So I'm in slip mode here, and there's no tracks. There's not really much happening. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the session into grid mode, and I'm going to choose the time value of bars and beats. And this is actually really good. I'm doing this. Where's the bars and beats? I don't see it here. Here are my rulers. You have time-based rulers, and see this little drop down here? You have time-based rulers, how we measure time, and conductor-based rulers. So I'm going to show the tempo here, maybe the meter. I want bars and beats. Bars and beats, minutes, and seconds are great. So I just made all that stuff visible. So to select bars and beats now, you click on boink, bars and beats. And notice how I was in minutes and seconds, and my timeline here reflects the time value of my session that I choose. So Command 3 on the number pad brings up this little window here. Command 3 mirrors the transport there. Sometimes that's handy to just see where you are in your session and all that. But grid mode, bars and beats, you are in a time value now of MIDI notes. The grid value is up here. So generally speaking, in the edit window, nowadays, I like just bar based. So wherever you select, it's a bar. Right? So I do larger scale MIDI editing here with clips. We'll see that as I record some MIDI data here. This is grid mode right here. And I would just put it in bar, right? You can put it in 1 bar value or quarter note value. You can change it as needed, but I would keep it kind of in bar mode here. Okay, grid mode, bars and beats. Second thing is a click track. Very simple. I go to track, create click track, boom. And what that did, if I hit play, it's just playing the default meter. Default meter is 4/4. Default tempo is 120 beats per minute. If I wanted to change the tempo, I will go back to the beginning, which I just hit return on my Mac keyboard here, or enter, just goes back to the beginning. So now I'm at measure 22, hit return. Boom, now I'm at measure 1. I click this little plus right here, and I'm going to change it to 96. There we go, 96. Now it's a little bit slower. So the click now, if I look at the mix window here, bringing the mix window in here, the click is an auxiliary track with a click inserted on it. I actually don't like this click sound. It's kind of ugly, so I usually go in here and I go to blocks. I'm going a little bit faster, so this click object, I can click on it to hide and show that plugin. This is the first plugin we've used, so I can expand and hide and show this click object like that. I'm going to change the sound of it right here. This shows the window. And I'm going to go to blocks. I like blocks, and I'm going to do an accented. Let's do wood block accented and blocks just for the regular beat, just a wood block. So now listen to this. All right, much better. So this click object will respond to your tempo. And let's just do this again. I'm going to change the tempo one more time. Let's go to 132. And so that increased in tempo because I changed the tempo. Starting out, I would just set one tempo at the beginning of the session, just leave it. You can change the tempo. You can have tempo changes here. If I click plus again, I can change the tempo here to 96. And you can see if I expand this tempo, now I made the tempo change there. But let's say I don't like any of this stuff. I can just highlight all that, delete all my tempo information, go back to the beginning. I'm just going to start again with 96. Great. So I have a click track there. There's a lot of stuff in here I don't need to view in my edit window. So I don't want my inserts here. Definitely don't need inserts F through J. I don't really need the IO there. Track color is nice to have. I can change the color here as well to like whatever color I want. There we go. Nice purple click track. Okay, great. So I have a click track. My session's in bars and beats in grid mode. I'm getting closer to getting some MIDI information in here. So now I need an instrument track. So remember what I said at the beginning? You have to have some instrument plugins installed. Expand will be great for this entire assignment, but I'm going to make an instrument track. Track new brings up my new track dialog, and here's a little nifty. I can go up down, command up down, or control up down, and I can go to instrument track. There we go. And usually I want it to be stereo, although it could be mono. There's nothing wrong with mono. Stereo, there we go. Stereo instrument track is just kind of more common in ticks. And these are 2 time values in Pro Tools. Ticks are samples. MIDI-based stuff, instrument tracks, which are basically MIDI-like tracks, are tick-based. This is a MIDI-based timing, more linked to beats per minute, whereas audio is defaults to samples, which is another time value. So it's like a time parameter of a track. So if I go to ticks, there we go. You can see the tick can be accessed from this edit window track menu. So if I make an audio track, just to show you, I'm going to make just one as an example, a mono audio track in samples, create that. And notice how this defaulted here to samples, right? So audio-based things are samples, MIDI-based things are ticks. Okay, so let's get some sound going here. So usually I like to do this from the mix window. So command equals goes over to the mix window, and I'm going to expand my inserts up here, where I'm going to place these MIDI-based instruments. I just go to instrument here. I just installed the expand, and there it is. Boom, there it is for the first time. I also have the mini grand. I'm just going to start with the most simple thing, the mini grand, which is included. I have my other stuff here too, so I'm going to go with mini grand. It's a grand piano. And if I'm really lucky, I can just hit my MIDI keyboard here, and I get sound, but I'm not getting any sound. So sometimes you have to record enable. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I've got some sound here. Okay, cool. So I got lucky there. So if you have a MIDI keyboard, you can hook that up. If you don't have some type of a controller to hook up, that's okay. There's other ways to get MIDI in there. You could mouse it in, as we'll see. Or you could import a MIDI file. But assuming you have a MIDI controller, then you should be ready to go. So another thing, I'm on a Mac here. All that's managed in Audio MIDI Setup. So I just launched Audio MIDI Setup. How to do that was in my dock here. But it's Applications, Utilities, Audio MIDI Setup. This is the MIDI window here. So View or MIDI Studio, Window. MIDI Studio brings up this. All I ever open up in this window is just to verify that my MIDI Studio works. I just test it. And if I get a little beep, my MIDI controller is A-OK. And modern day MIDI controllers in the last 10 years, you just plug in the USB, maybe you install a driver, even, maybe not even. I didn't even install a driver for this, I don't think. Just go to the MIDI Studio here, Audio MIDI Setup, and I just test that studio. And I'm good to go. I can just quit that. That means my controller is set up, and I bring it in Pro Tools, and sometimes you have to record enable this, or at the very least select the track nameplate to record that. Let's delete this track here. Okay, so cool. Well, at least I've activated my MIDI controller, and I can play a G harmonic minor scale, but let's say I want to record something now. Let's do that. This can now go in the background. Of course, you can change all the settings here and reverb and whatever, but I'm just going to cruise along here. I always like to name my track. I'm just going to call this piano. And we haven't really recorded anything yet. We've only edited audio. So the 3 main windows, the edit window, mix window, and the transport window. That's command 1 on the number pad. If you don't have that, I believe it's just window, where is it here? Right there, transport. You can bring that up. So I'm bringing this up just to show you how to record. I had to record enable this track here to get any audio signal whatsoever. So that sometimes works. So now to record, there's a couple ways to do it. You have to record enable the track, and you can usually record only one instrument track at a time. So I record enable that, I record enable the transport, and I click play, and it should start it is giving me my click here. And as I play a chord here now, it's just going to start to record that 3, 4. So it just recorded my playing of my brilliant G minor 9th chord to an F minor 9th chord, right? So now if I play that back, I've got to mark in. Right? So it recorded my performance. Great. I've achieved my kind of basic MIDI input. Let's do that again. Let me just show you an even simpler way to record. I said record enable the track that says, okay, I'm going to record some MIDI information to this track. Then you arm the transport, and then you click play, and that works great. I can record some notes there, but let's show you a different way. There's a lot of different keyboard shortcut recording commands. The one that I like for MIDI and audio, it's awesome, is just 3 on the number pad. F12 will work as well in the same fashion, I believe. Yeah, F12 does the same thing. So that just initiated the recording process. And as we had audio clips, now as I'm recording these, I'm dumping in my clip list clips called piano. So I just prefer 3 on the number pad, and it starts recording, right? And then I can just kind of play my bad piano skills, right? I'm really a guitarist. So that's how you get notes in there. That's all I just kind of wanted to show you. How to set up the session, how to get the click. And just to let's do a quick review here, recap. Session's got to be in grid mode. Grid mode, not relative grid mode. Grid mode, bars and beats, not minutes and seconds. Grid mode, bars and beats. If you want a tighter resolution, I would do like maybe quarter note, or I just prefer bar nowadays for this. Second thing is to create a click track. That's right here. Again, the click track, you can just mute that if you don't like it, but it's kind of always on. Let's leave it at that. So create a click track, and then we had to insert a plugin here. I use the mini grand in this case, so I can hide and show that from the mix window inserts, or I can just click on this right there, which is, I'm viewing the insert part of the mix window, I think, on the track view here, and that can be viewed right here, right? And then I just record enabled the track, make sure I was hearing some sound, and then I hit record. So that should get you guys started for recording if you have a MIDI keyboard. In the next video, I'll talk about how to get some notes in there and how to edit the notes.